So, you know how we feel like sympathy towards other human beings, but then when we kill an animal, we're like, hunters and stuff, you know? Sometimes the people do these things for fun these days. Some people go hunting for fun, which is okay, We eat animals for fun, and not for fun. I mean, yeah, we eat animals when we like to celebrate, like, we order some thing that probably was made by an animal. And plants, plants never talk. We can never understand plants, even though, there was this one thing that this like wavelength. Did you see that discovery, this like device that shows you what if plants are actually talking or not? And it showed that like while a plant is being cut, it actually screams, but it's just like um its sound, like the sound that it makes is the wavelength of the sound is too short for our ears to hear apparently, but it does scream. So which means that the reason why we don't feel anything while cutting plants to eat them is because we just don't feel anything, because we don't, we're not in the same frequency. We're not in the same frequency as them. So basically, even outside of eating, we just don't feel any types of sympathy towards. We can't feel sympathy towards everything, or else we just can't work properly. Can you imagine, like, if a person were to like step on grass and in every single step it's like sorry, sorry, or something? That would be weird. So I thought this was very interesting, like, because understanding living things is a very important thing. What we actually do, all of us do understand the fact that understanding everything will be impossible. It will not be good for us, for our lives. But we do know that at the same time, understanding has been like something that, like, while we grew up, everybody was like, you gotta understand others, you gotta understand. So I don't know, like, when it comes to human beings, also, like, understanding, for example, serial killers is not a good thing. So like, even in human beings, you can't understand everything. You can't sympathize with everyone, which makes the topic of like understanding and sympathizing a very complicated topic. All of a sudden, it's not just as simple you gotta understand everyone and you gotta, you know no, our teacher actually once told us, she was like, just because you don't understand someone doesn't mean you can't, doesn't mean you're gonna fight with them all the time, every time that you see them. And I guess that's right. I guess we're all like, in the society, we're all like just pieces, but like rigid pieces. We're not puzzles that like are like just, we're not perfect puzzles where you like put one piece and we're not puzzle pieces that like go fit right in there, we're just like rigid pieces that try and fit, hopefully. That's why maybe you gotta shape yourself a little bit, just a little bit, just so, like, shape yourself enough that you can fit into the society. Like, for example, there are things that I would never do because I know that my parents will freaking abandon me if I do. There are things that I don't say to my friends. Actually, I'm not good at doing that. I actually directly say things to my friends sometimes. But there are things you don't say, there are things that you don't do so that you can live, It will be stupid if you do those things, So yeah, I wanna make a character out of this. This character is someone who like bumps into a book Even in books, there's bacterias. You can think of everything as living in that case. Or like, we all know that we don't understand the universe as much as we want to know, because every time a big scientist comes, you're like, oh my god, we have been looking at this thing wrong the whole time, right? So maybe this character thinks of that theory and thinks, okay, everything could be alive right now. Maybe, maybe this object actually has a soul. Where do we know? So apologizes to everything, and that becomes like a habit, which makes them which makes them very fragile in public spaces, makes them look very fragile. And I don't know what would be the main issue with someone like that, like just apologizing to everything would make you very fragile, as I already said. And I think, like a very innocent part of us wants everyone and everything to be very kind and gentle, but I feel like we all just exist as separate things. We have our, like, features, think of it like that. We're all souls, and, think of yourself as a solid piece, a solid thing, and, solid foundation. Like you exist and you know exactly what you are. In that case, nobody, if everybody was like that, if everybody knew exactly who they were, nobody would want other people to be gentle and understanding towards that. They will be like, this is just what I am. If you're gonna understand it, I will also understand you. If you don't want to understand it, I'm just gonna exist like this, the way that I already am. I'm not gonna change myself for it. And, I will be with people who will understand, who will, and if you don't understand, that doesn't even mean that you're a bad person. That just means that you're not like me. So I will hang out with people who are like me, who will understand me, and to you, I will just not talk. I won't fight because I know that that's just what you are. I can't change what you are either. I'd like to imagine all of us as like souls, as like just floating in the space, everybody in different colors, if they knew exactly what they were, if they knew exactly what color they were. That's how I imagine it. But yeah, that's why that this person who is apologizing to every single object, everything, I don't know, they're not, that point of their life probably is going to change, this habit is going to change, they're going to realize something, or maybe it won't change, but this doesn't seem to be an issue. I mean, for them it's an issue, because how are you going to live? Bad things are going to happen to you one day, and how are you going to process? You're going to have like 10,000 things you're thinking about apologizing, but you never get an apology. You never get a gentleness towards you, and it gets weird. Maybe the person starts talking to objects. After saying sorry to objects so many times, maybe the person goes, nobody's being gentle to me, so let me just imagine these objects as talking to me, and then let me imagine them as being gentle to me, because I have been apologizing. Like, I've been apologizing to this chair every time I sat on it. I've been apologizing to it, and it's been like 2 years that I've been like this. So I guess I apologized that I apologized so much to it that at this point it has to be my friend or something, because I've been showing it gentleness. So the person starts talking to the chair or something. What is their name? Their name is what is it? Their name is Duru. Duru is a Turkish name, Duru. It's You know, when the water is like water in a lake is like not moving, it's like stationary. That's Duru. And the reason why I want to call it Duru is because um, it's just a cute name. It's just a cute name, and also it's like, you know, Duru means something that's like not moving, and that just kind of reminded me of all the objects that it's the person is talking to. Duru is talking to, you know, and yeah, so the the name of the girl is Duru, and she just apologizes and everything, and at some point she starts to talk to things, detaching completely from the life. I guess her main motivation to doing this is because she thought to herself, people are not gentle, so at least objects, plants that I cannot talk to can be gentle. Because when something cannot talk to you, you can imagine them saying anything, right? If somebody's like mouth is taped, you can be like, oh yeah, they're happy right now, I think. They're about to say thank you to me or something, you know, if you're a crazy person. So yeah, Duru just loses it, is what I'm seeing. Yeah. I just want to make this this character is all about like I wanted to talk about how understanding can be, you know, because we know understanding is a good thing, but it can be very complicated. It's not always a good thing. It's just, you know, if somebody doesn't understand you, doesn't mean that they're a bad person. That's like the point I was trying to make with Duru. Also, in my life, when I was a child, I think I had this like 2 days of a moment where I was like, I was apologizing to things because I don't know. I just thought being gentle was very important, so I just started apologizing to like, like tables. You know, every time I put it, books. Every time I push them and stuff. Yeah, so I want to explore that. Yeah, that's Duru.